April 22, 1994. Grand champion MiCarCo's I Won the Toss died in her sleep in the kitchen cabinet, her favorite place to sleep. She was 10 years old and has been with me through the best and worst of my life. Her mother was a blue cream Himalayan named Colorama, and her father was Citation, who was owned by my friend Marge at the time of the breeding. There were 3 kittens in the litter, a breathtaking, show-stopping seal point, her nearly as good seal point sister, and an ugly black male. Marge and I decided to toss a coin for pick of the litter, and I won. I named mine I Won the Toss, and Marge named hers I Lost the Toss. They competed against each other often in the show ring, and Marge and I really enjoyed stumping the judges. The 2 kittens hit the show circuit in kitten class at about 4 months, and after washing Toss for a show one day, I put her in one of the cattery pens to dry while I washed some more cats. The cattery pens were 8 feet tall, 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and had 2 shelves and a window to the outside. The cattery was air-conditioned and heated. Sopping wet, Toss had her typical I hate cages mood, but I didn't pay too much attention to her because I knew she'd only have to stay in there long enough for me to wash a couple more cats. I saw her go skidding off the top shelf because after slopping water all over the shower board surface, it was slick, but she climbed right back up, so I didn't think much of it. The next morning she was frantic, as usual, over food, but she wasn't opening her mouth. The only food she would ever eat is Iams Dry, and she was pushing her face in it, but wasn't eating. I tried to look in her mouth, but I couldn't pry it open. I took blood and stool samples and got 2 vets who said they had never seen anything so bizarre. One wanted to put her to sleep to do an autopsy in her eager anticipation of naming some new disease after herself. Toss was treated for muscle atrophy, and I kept her in a sling inside my shirt for 6 months while she grew but got no better. With a syringe, I could squeeze pureed Iams and baby food into the side of her mouth. I fed her a little very often because I feared her vomiting and choking. For 6 months I carried my cat/child and worried the whole time. None of our other cats caught this mysterious disease, and the vets agreed there was no virus, so I kept her in show condition, often taking best in breed ribbons. I cried every time she won, thinking I could lose her any day to this insidious malady. Jamie was 4 years old, and I decided to try the last possible thing. The vet college in Gainesville agreed to let me stay with her while they'd poke and prod and try to figure her problem out. They requested her x-rays from when she first went to the vets the week before she and I were to go to Gainesville. A man who went over the x-rays found a hairline fracture in the jaw and sent me to a vet in St. Pete. This vet re-broke the jaw and told me to keep working her mouth because the muscles had withered, but overnight it would heal shut. I took her back and was told that the jaw would have to be continually re-broken or the joint would have to be removed. I opted for the surgery, and her mouth was crooked thereafter, but she did great. She'd scoop up a mouth of Iams and sling her head back to swallow. The vet told me that she wouldn't live long because she was never able to eat well enough to sustain herself. Except for her horrible table manners and her slobbery face, she was still the perfect kitten and went on to obtain her CFA championship and ACFA Grand Championship with her half-sister, MiCarCo's Careless Navigator, whose parents were Citation and Colonnade. Careless Navigator, I called her Gator, died in 1990 from a toxic reaction to Hart's flea shampoo. Both Gator and Toss had 1 litter of kittens before I spayed them. They were with me through my divorce from Mike. They lived with me at Dr. R's, although they had to live in the guest house. They lived in the barn with me when I had horses, and they lived with me through Don's divorce and his on-again, off-again approach to our life together. Gator died and is buried behind the house on Smitter Road. Don gave me a lovely oriental jewelry box and a wreath with her photo in it, which hangs in my office to show me he cared. Toss was with me through our marriage and has moved with me 12 times. She became lost in a crowd of bobcats and servals, and her last couple of weeks I knew she was getting near the end. She was losing weight and slept all the time. So I let her live in the house and ignored the hair she'd shed all over everything so that she could die in peace. I miss her. This photo was Jamie and I won the toss in 1985.